Hello, everyone. Today's session will be a Vitallium prequel story where we run through the events leading up to Vitallium meeting the party. Oh, because I am dumb and I've yet to add my headphone audio. There. We should now be able to hear you. We will be going through Vitallium's backstory leading up to the events of him meeting the party at the unearthed ruin in session 1 of the Varum Chronicles. Without further ado, we can begin. Are you ready, Vitallium?
Vitallium is ready. Let us proceed.
Alrighty. They are so beautiful, aren't they? A bronze finger points towards the creature with white feathers and skinny orange little feet. A bronze warforged in his later years stands beside you. The 3 familiar parallel lines running straight down his face in an oddly unsymmetric fashion. Tace's blue lifelight was indeed dimmer than you remember. Supposedly the Organa called them chickens. And those little yellow ones are the offspring born from the body of the chicken itself. I wonder what came first, the chicken or the egg? Do you know?
They're so peculiar. Where did they come from?
I've been told, I haven't witnessed this myself, that the little yellow one comes from the body of the larger one in the form of an egg. I'm not sure how the process happens, as it's quite different for us forged. But they appear to be plentiful in the Organa world.
And when you say egg, what is an egg?
It's supposedly this little round thing that houses life in it. And once that life is ready to become the creature you see before you, it crawls out of the egg. I'm not sure how that fits in the nature of things, nor does it sound efficient. But that's how it happens for most animals out in the wilderness outside of Tadhana. You know, Vitallium? Yeah, you've been coming here ever since you were young. What about this place interests you specifically? Is it the family of Organas over there? As he kind of points towards past the cages of the animals that you're looking at currently, where you kind of see like a small ragtag patch of grass seemingly laid there like it was thrown there. Definitely didn't grow there. And you see a single tree, mid-sized. Its leaves not too green, kind of brown from the lack of light, but it's a large enough tree to create some overhang and shadow that casts itself over a small structure, single floor, maybe a few rooms. It seems to be thrown together with oak and branches. From what you can, from this distance, you've been there before. It's a small house. In the small window, about 100, 200 feet away from you, you see a young girl, and she's doing something out of view. And as she knew you were watching, she glances up and her eyes meet yours, and her cheeks raise in the form of a smile, and she waves at you. And you would recognize this young girl as Tara, who you've had various conversations with over the past few years that she's been here. What's that human girl's name again, Vitallium? I've heard you've been talking with her a lot.
Her name is Tara.
Humans are very interesting. I've only had the chance to see a few, but it's glad that we have them here to learn from them.
They are such chaotic beings. She raises questions and has views that I myself would have never concocted, never dreamed of making, or never have thought of approaching. It's it's a very chaotic organism. It's something that's caught my attention ever since that day I first came here.
Yes, indeed. I know humans, their greatest trait, some would say, is their free will. And they don't have too much loyalty for the governments and things that have been put in place, I've been told from the books I've read. Very unlike here. I wonder what is better. Our society seems so perfected that I'm not sure. And at this moment, from the house, you see an older man that you'd known as Deponte. You've talked to him a few times. He
Am I
exits
ever asked
the
to spell his own name?
Deponte.
Thank you.
Um, he walks towards what appears to be a small pond in front of the structure. Um, Almost like it was the pond was artificially made, very geometric, shallow, and he appears to be carrying a bucket. His tuft of long gray hair falls below his shoulders, and you see two pointy ears jutting out of them. He glances over at the two of you, but no smile is to be found. Just starch grin. And it's at this the point that Taste turns to you and says, "We are told they like to live here, but honestly, I wonder if that's true." Chase puts his hand on his chin as if deep in thought. I wonder. That man's been here for quite a few years, but he's never looked happy.
Vitallium just looks around. Do I see any of the city guard?
Right now, this is kind of a zoo-like structure. The cages are behind some makeshift glass, and the house is 200 feet away. It's to prevent a Warforged from going into the exhibit themselves. There is one iron forged towards the back, about 30 feet from you, near the entrance to this mini zoo is located. And other than that, there's no one else in the exhibit except you two.
And just to clarify, in my past, have I been able to enter these exhibits? Have I been able to converse with these people?
Yes, you've been able to sneak in a few times at nighttime, as there's usually no guard at night and the door is closed, so people can't enter. But a few times over the past few years that you've been coming here, you've found a way to sneak in at night and have various conversations with Terra and Deponte.
How familiar am I with them? Are
You're
we
very
friends?
familiar with
Wait,
Terra. She's the age of 10, small girl. She came here 4 or 5 years ago when she was really young. And Duponte, you're not too familiar with, as he doesn't like to converse with you. Every time you've tried to have a conversation with him, he's kept it very short, brief, almost like every time he sees you, there's a ill will towards you. Um, Not disgust, but just a sadness that envelops him, which he doesn't ever want to talk to you or anyone else but Terra.
And have I ever posed a question to Tara why she came here?
Yes, she doesn't remember. Um, since she came here when she was a young girl, she doesn't really know what the outside is like. Um, she seems content to be here. She doesn't know anything different. She plays with the animals sometimes when they release them from their cages at nighttime. Um, but Dubonte is in his older years, and he came a few years prior to Terra. And you don't remember the day he arrived, but you remember visiting the zoo, and he was already set up in the house that they have there, and he was just there one day, and you don't know why, and he's never really told you why.
Have I ever asked?
You've tried to ask, but every time you've posed the question, you see pain in his eyes, and he avoids it.
Okay.
And you've never actually got him to sort of fully tell you why he was there.
I turn to Taste and I go, well, I've been able to have some conversations with the organisms over there. And they're varied stories. Some choose not to respond to my inquiries, but others seem to be of they seem to be rescued because they're unsure of how they arrived. So I can only assume that they had somehow stumbled into Tadhana and we helped them and we now provide them shelter and a place to live.
I believe you're right. I've been told the outside world is a treacherous place. I feel like any organism that has the opportunity to reside in Tadhana is considered saved. But it still makes you wonder, as there's not many of them. You'd think that there'd be more seeking asylum within Tadhana.
Well, what the king has told us, Tadhana's extremely well hidden from the outside realms. And who truly knows how many they number? What if there's as many humans or other races as there were us? Maybe the world's just an empty place.
Maybe. Maybe we'll know one day. But I don't know if I want to know. Leaving this place sounds like it's a death sentence. For those outside have never returned. It seems very dangerous out there.
Um, Vitallium kind of like glance up and goes, but what if? Or we won't know, we'll never know unless we see it for ourselves. The stories that Tara has told me, there seems to be so much out there that's just not here in Tadhana. She talks every day about things that I've never seen or heard of.
There
And
must be stories
things that,
Deponte has told her. We don't know. What if she's lying, or these are just fairy tales?
even so, what does the outside world have to offer that can even allow one to concoct such wonderful stories and even of the mundane? It seems that something would have to be mentally wrong with her to have her concoct so much stories, fabricate so many different little details. It's I agree with you. I don't believe most of them, but it's something that at the very least she's unsettled me.
Well, the Organas can be very creative. So, the fabricated stories they might give us might sound intriguing, perhaps tempting, but it can be hard to determine whether they're truth or lies. Well, regardless, we should head back to Vendanya. She wants to make us something called dinner, a resource consumption event that the Organa do to remain living every day. Um,
I've
Perhaps
I've
we should
heard
try it.
I've heard Tara mention this before. I'm most
Yes.
intrigued.
It confuses me, but maybe it will be good.
I think it is good of us to participate in other cultures to improve our worldly understanding.
Of course. Um, shall we go? All
Yes, I'll follow you, Taste.
right, so as you guys head towards the exit, A loud roar pierces the air nearby. Taze kind of looks around. What was that?
I don't know. I've never heard such a roar.
Suddenly,
Can Vitallion do like a history check, like being
oh
at the
yeah,
zoo?
yeah.
Somewhere? Has he's ever heard this particular roar before?
Let's roll that. Maybe you
Uh,
have.
okay. And this is going to be a perception investigation. What am I rolling?
Let's do.
Oh, sorry, history. Yes.
Yeah, let's do history.
Okay. 17.
17. From your conversations with Tara, the stories she's told you, she's spoken that she's heard of great beasts in the wilderness, of heights that you can't even imagine, um, beasts that have very sharp teeth and claws that seem to be able to rip open flesh and skin. Nope, you can't connect the sound to any particular beast, but you have heard of beasts from the outside realm that seem scary and foreign to you that would be capable of inflicting wounds upon you. And so maybe you think it's one of these.
Taste. That sound can come from no Warforged. And I doubt it's any sound that we can concoct. Let's go investigate.
Of course. Why don't we go? And then suddenly, 4 bronze warforged appear from around the corner of the entrance to the exhibit. And behind them is a massive crate covered in a brown tattered tarp at the entrance. As the caravan rounds the corner and enters the room from which you're about 20 feet away, heading towards the exit, at the rear of this, you see a silver warforged come into view. As he draws near, he locks eyes with you and Tace. And as he walks by you, almost purposely collides into you with staggering strength. Out of the way, rusty iron. Give the cargo some space.
Of course.
He kind of looks at you and kind of nudges you away as if you were really not even standing there. The caravan horses, and there's horses here, rear to a stop, and the silver forged approaches the brown tarp. Fine catch today. We finally have another beast added to the collection for study. And as you see, he flings the tarp into the air, revealing the creature inside, which you lock eyes with and are instantly fascinated. There in the cage is what appears to be a large cat-like creature, covered in black fur, with long tusks protruding from the cheekbone area. The creature's eyes are bright and yellow with an odd black iris shape. The creature thrashes about, and a few bronze forged jab it with long prongs as it cries out. Come, Vitallium. Enough staring. Taste kind of motions at you. And DM speak. This is a moorbounder.
As they're walking away, that the beast was magnificent. Never before have they captured anything quite like that.
It makes me think
I
the
believe that's
stories
the
you talk
biggest-
about are true.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing I believe they've ever brought back.
The outside world seems scary.
Just imagine. I've heard tales that there are beasts twice the size of that. This is just what they've brought in, what they've been able to capture.
It's hard to even
I've never-
fathom.
I've before tried to talk to the hunting parties, but they don't let anything slip about the outside world. They're quite tight-lipped about it.
I don't know any of the forged that are on those parties myself. I don't know of anyone who's actually left and come back to tell the tale. But they must have some sort of clearance to be able to leave. Or maybe it was delivered. I'm not sure.
Delivered, you say? What an intriguing thought. Do do you think one of the do you think someone in Tadhana has been able to strike a deal with some of these other races to deliver upon us these beasts?
To be honest, I'm not sure myself. As a thinker myself, it's a conclusion, as if there's other races out there that aren't forged. Then perhaps they have a structured or organized community themselves. But it's only speculation. It could be scattered anarchy out there. And maybe it
I
wandered in nearby the edge of Tadhana itself.
I just never thought that those things can form a society like ours. It seems
I know. They're
just
terribly chaotic.
yes, how would they ever get anything done? They don't follow structure like we do. They don't know their place. But then again, I'm not one that knows mine.
It
Case
kind of
you've
pats you on the back.
Thank you for all your guidance. It's when I was training to be a soldier, things didn't seem right. But under your guidance, you've truly opened up a new world for me. I'll I'll always thank you for what you've been able to do for me.
Come on, Vitallium. You sound like you're leaving. Let's start walking to Vidania's.
Don't worry, Tace. I won't leave. After all, I need to graduate to a scientist like you.
If they let you, my boy.
I'll
And
be the first to do it. Just you watch.
as you guys begin to walk, the walk is very familiar to you. You've done this many times. A long, winding street is straight in front of you, with small, organized shops on the side where wood forged in the similar tattered brown clothes hand out various makeshift goods, from shoes to cheaply made clothes to forcana. And forcana, in DM speak, is the resource that you Warforged consumed for food every so often. High nutrient dense. The only thing that really can sustain you for as long. And in Warforged society that you would know, forcana can be made and prepared in different ways to vary its taste slightly, or consistently. But that's what some of these wood forged are selling, is this forcana. It's made of varying quality. The daylight from far above fills the cavern with some semblance of light. The light forming sort of godlike rays, those god rays in real life, and revealing all sorts of particles floating around in the air of the cavern. All of this shines down onto the houses that are carved into the sheer faces of the cavern wall. Tace exclaims on your walk, "Hard to believe we have grown to 30,000 strong. Now granted, so much of that is wood forged, but amazing that the ritual has been granting us a higher ratio of newborns recently."
Yes. Truly, we're at numbers that we've never been at before. It's most promising to just imagine our growth. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get a gemstone warforged sometime soon.
Don't get ahead of yourself, my boy.
Taste,
I don't
you know
even
I've always
remember the
wanted
last
to,
time we have one on record.
But things are changing. The ratios are getting higher. We're getting better and better warforged every year. Maybe this will be the year.
The quality is going up. Hopefully, the recycled forged have probably helped the ratios get higher. And as you would know, recycled warforged live to be around 150 to 200 years. And when they die or are killed, which you would know, they are recycled. They go to the recycler and they're recycled. And no one really has ever seen the recycler before or know exactly what it does, but all everyone knows is that it's basically death. And your body is recycled into the ground. Um, but yes, um, let us continue on. And as you continue on, the home away from home comes into view. Same as all the others, but this home has the marking of Vidania's favorite flower above the doorway, which sticks out like a sore thumb. But the rose that you found growing near the stone lake all those years ago made her fall in love with organic life and began her studies all those years back. Once you approach the door inside, you enter. Inside, you glance around. Oh, continue.
What does her favorite flower look like?
It's what in real life terms it would look like a rose.
Alright.
As you get inside, as you open the door, the familiar recharge room, the Warforged bedrooms, essentially, the central living room where many mini experiments you ran under Tace and Vendania's watchful eyes as a child. Vendania emerges from the research room in the back of the unit and meets your eyes. The blue light behind her eyes glow with happiness. Vitallium, how wonderful it is for you to join us tonight. It has been a few months. Has the soldier training process you up to going well?
Ugh, don't get me started on the soldier training, Vidania. I've only just seen you after all this time. Let me instead tell you about the zoo. They brought in such a magnificent beast just as we were leaving. And by time kind of like symbols with his arms. It was this tall, this wide, and it had this material growing out of its face. I really wanted to go back.
Wow. Do you perhaps know the name of this creature?
No. Oh, I should have asked.
Well,
Oh,
I'll be there in a few days. I'm sure I can find out for you.
Vidania, if you can figure out the name of the beast, I would very much appreciate it. I guess I now be thinking all about it, and I'll have nothing to call it.
Yes. I've been, and don't tell anyone this, but I've been informed, just like the other Organa living there, that this one somehow stumbled into the one of the outer caves. Not sure how, but the hunting party found it there.
It got through the barrier.
No one knows. Believe so, and that's the only way it could have gotten through. And it sounds impossible, but somehow it made it through, just like the others. Oddly enough.
Most intriguing. I don't worry. I promise to tell no soul. But thank you for this knowledge. That is peculiar.
You're most welcome. The reason I invited you here is to try an event called dinner. I'm sure your time spent with the Organa, you must have become somewhat familiar with it is, but after watching them for years, I've decided to try what they do every day. I know we only eat Volcana every few weeks or so, but this dinner sounds intriguing. It's a gathering of sorts to consume energy together. The purpose, I presume, is to connect with ones that you love. So, I hope you haven't had a refill of your Volcana recently, as I have what is called steak prepared for us.
Steak? Well, you know me, Vidania. I'm always running on empty. Never have the time to sit down and do something as trivial as refilling on Volcana. I have much to do.
You must make sure you remain healthy, my boy.
Don't worry, a young warforged like me, I still have over 180 years left.
Taze kind of like slaps you on the back real hard. Oh, you don't want to get there like I'm nearing.
Taze, you two have many years to come.
Well, everyone gather around the table as Vendania kind of retreats into sort of a back room, and as she brings out 3 plates with the steaks on the center. These kind of they look almost burned, to be honest. Like it was not prepared correctly as a steak should be. And beside the steak, is two sticks, one with three prongs and one with a mini blade of sorts. Why don't you roll for intelligence right now to see if you can recognize what these two sticks are?
um, that will be a 8.
An 8. You don't recognize what these things are. Um,
Can
she
I?
kind of.
I want to start like, well done, Gadanya. This looks exactly like the meals that Tara had told me about. I'm gonna pick up one of the wooden sticks and then start like chewing it. Oh,
uh,
I'll begin
Vitallium, no, no,
eating.
no, no. That's not the meal. Those are what the Organa call utensils. The
The
one with the
you.
three prongs is a knife, I believe, and the one that looks like a mini blade is a fork.
Ah, and they what do they use these for?
She kind of like holds them up with her two hands and starts like a little kid like trying to cut the steak, and she says, "Well, supposedly you use these to cut the food into smaller sections for consumption to make it easier
Oh,
on the mouth and the throat and the stomach of the Organa."
intriguing. I thought they always ate everything at once. He grabs the fork and the knife and he goes, I'm beginning to eat. And he cuts his steak and goes, oh, look at the black
Why don't
outside.
you roll? Why don't you roll for intelligence again to see how well you actually use these utensils in cutting the steak?
Uh, intelligence or like a dexterity, like sleight of hand.
Let's do sleight of hand then.
Okay, yeah, I'm even worse at that. Okay, wait. Okay, I actually rolled pretty good. Yeah, I rolled an 11.
All right. You kind of as you pick up these utensils and start cutting into the steak, it seems intuitive a little bit to you. You still don't understand too much why, but you're able to sort of make some slices with the steak. Well, as everyone around the table is eating, kind of weirdly at that, you see Tace and Vidanya over accentuating their chews just like you and making facial expressions. Um, how's training going, Vitallium? Vidanya asks you.
Oh, I'm slowly but surely improving my skills with the sword. It is a grueling process. It seems that the other people within my unit do nothing but sit around and train all day and improve their physical prowess. I admire one honing their skills, but they seem to do nothing else. Whenever I try to strike up a dialogue, all they talk about is uh, football and racing and swimming. It is these boring tasks that they just care about the other Warforged, and they never dig deeper than the surface level.
That's the
But
regiments they have him going through. I've always wondered why you haven't gotten along with them. You were born with just a different mind.
I've done my best, believe me. I'm I'm friendly, but they don't like how I question the things that I'm told, the orders that I'm given. It's ridiculous. The officers in charge of us have no idea what they're doing. They're just like us, but they've been in the program for a few more years. And so whenever they ask us to do something incorrect, I always bring it up. But they don't like that. They want us to just accept what we're told, to use what we're given, and ask nothing more. It's ridiculous, but it's earned me the animosity of the group I'm in.
Sadly, that is the way that our society is run. There's a few of us, and many of the wood forged, I would imagine, that disagree with this style of running society. We weren't given emotions and free will by the great wizard for no reason. At least that's what I choose to believe.
I understand that we were all created for a task to make a perfect society. That all of us have strengths, but what if our strengths were not just in the color that we were made of, but what we wanted to pursue? What if instead of organizing by our colors in these different roles, um, what if we organized by the skills that we were good at? Imagine the progress we would make for people doing what they actually wish to do.
I know. Maybe one day. As the dinner, as you guys begin to finish up dinner and make some small talk, there's a lull in the conversation when Tace says, "We saw a silver today." Vidania's eyes grow dim. She looked towards both of you and she says, "Was he rude?"
He knows his place, and we were in his way.
Tace kind of cuts you off and says, "I still fail to understand why we must treat those deemed of lesser skin so horribly." And Vidania just says, "That's just the way things are here." And then Tace kind of allows you reason, if you ask me, as he gets up from the table and heads towards one of the side rooms in the home. "Thank you for the meal known as dinner. The food tasted odd, but all right. I can see the reason that this company that the Organa reside in every night is deemed useful." And then Vidania kind of looks at you as she says, "Oh, don't mind him. Did you enjoy dinner?"
Of course, it was a delightful ritual. I can see why the Organe use this activity at the end of each day. If not for the nutrients, it was nice to sit together and converse about how things are going in each of our lives.
Yes. Well, I've heard there's a food called bacon, and that it tastes wonderfully. But sadly, I don't have any on me as of now.
Really? Where does it come from? Where does this food hail from?
An animal called a pig. I believe we used to have one in the exhibit a few years back. I don't know if you remember it. It was a pinkish brown round thing.
Oh yes, I do remember. I like a great deal of a conscious note of each creature I've seen there.
Yes.
Intriguing.
Well,
Is it
sadly,
even
those
better
animals have
steak?
small lifespans, so we lost it, sadly. But
One day, I hope I'll be able to try bacon. It sounds exquisite.
me as well. And she kind of looks down at the floor and then looks back up at you, and she says, "Follow me, Vitallium. I have something to show you." And
Of course.
as you both get up from the table, she leads you into the research room that you're very familiar with, where Vidania spends most of her time tinkering and toying and researching notes. The room is cluttered and filled with papers and gadgets strewn about, no order at all, very random, clutter everywhere. She kind of fumbles through a drawer and kind of is muttering to herself, "No, not that one." And she finally goes, "Ah." She kind of holds her hand out, and "I was given a few stones to analyze a few weeks back from a recon team in one of the tunnels. This odd-looking thing was thrown in with them." She kind of tosses you a cube with multiple colors on the side of various different gemstone-esque colors, not shape or texture, but just the colors. You think you could help old Vidania figure out why it's so colorful?
Intriguing. I understand finding crystals and other geodes, but what is this? This looks a lot more complex. This thing, it looks refined. Like natural things we would normally see.
I don't know why it was thrown in with these stones, but the team deemed it odd enough to hand it off to me. Um, why don't you roll a d20 for me?
2.
Two. As you kind of look around it, um, nothing really stands out too much about it other than the odd colors.
I know nothing about this device, and it's intriguing. It's so foreign to me. What colors do I see on it?
You see cerulean, sapphire, ruby, amethyst, topaz, diamond, all these sorts of colors on various different faces.
Do I make? Do
It
I? Did
seem they
Vitallium make the
seem
connection?
they seem mismatched. Yes.
Oh, 15. Okay, yeah. Huh. And this is how they found it, with all of these
Correct.
colors.
It's remained in that state since it was handed off to me.
Intriguing. This is a hypothesis, nothing more, but the colors match up with the gemstone warforged that I'm so fascinated with.
Hmm.
Huh.
Intriguing. I haven't thought of that. She kind of
It's
like
an odd,
peers at it as well.
it's an odd coincidence. Most people wouldn't make the connection because most people think of the gemstone warforged as mere legend. But we, or Taste mentioned it to me, so it was on my mind.
Hmm. I don't typically delve into the area of legend and story, but perhaps you're right.
Maybe this is the secret. Maybe, maybe this has something to do with the gemstone warforged.
Don't muddle your mind with fantasy. That has to be rooted in reason and logic. Is there anything you is there anything that stands out in the stone that you notice about its appearance?
Um, uh, so where is there any sort of pattern I can deduct from the uh the cube?
Yeah. So as you kind of look at it, you do notice that there are thin black lines all over the cube. Um, and as you kind of hold it, you notice that there's a slight give of wiggle if you try to move the black lines around.
Um, Vitallium is going to attempt to, like, as soon as he sees that it wiggles a little bit, then he's going to start kind of like prying at it and like trying to see like at what how does this device wiggle, and he's going to start playing around with it.
Yeah. Roll an intelligence check for me.
11.
11.
Oh, sorry, 12. I believe plus 2. Yeah, 12.
12. Um, it doesn't take you a long time, but after about 20 minutes of fumbling around with it, you notice that you can start to move these colors of these faces on the cube around to different positions.
Vidonia, it's a game. It's
A
there
game.
seems to be some way to manipulate these colors. This may not be nothing more than a children's toy, but I'll keep playing around with it. Maybe I can, if nothing more, I want to reach a conclusion just to solve the puzzle.
Well, do it right now. I want to see the completion of this so game, you say.
Vitalin holds up the cube. It's most difficult, actually. I have a hypothesis, and that's on this cube there are several different colors. Um, And by the way, how many colors are there specific on this cube?
7.
And so that's one more color than there is sides. Is there a color that's in the
So
center of
get
each?
get rid. So make it 6.
Okay. Um, what color gets dropped?
Diamond.
Diamond. Okay. And he goes, you see, each color, the number of colors is 6, and the number of sides is 6 as well. It makes me believe that if one were to match up all of the same colors on the same side, such a puzzle would be solved.
Hmm.
But it's also intriguing that they chose to leave out Diamond, the king of all Warforged.
Peculiar. Do you want
But
to assign the colors?
well, I'll do my best. You see, it's actually most tricky to solve this cube because while solving one side and he shows her that he's already completed the cerulean side, I've gotten one side, but in order to maneuver these other colors around to their each individual sides, one must disorganize the side that they've already solved. And so it is through this chaos one must find order. And two sides is very difficult to solve right now. I can't imagine the combinations that must be done to solve all sides. I can keep playing around with it, but it seems to be a quite complex puzzle. Um, can I give another intelligence roll to see how I
Yeah.
do?
That dice goes everywhere.
A 4.
A 4. Why don't you
Yeah.
make an Arcana check actually instead of intelligence?
Hmm. I have an idea. Vitallium is going to kind of slow his his breath and go, or just kind of not slow his breath, but he's gonna like calm his mind and tap his core.
Guidance.
And then when he opens his eyes, you're gonna see them radiate with energy as he casts detect magic.
Oh.
And I'll then perform my Arcana check.
Yes. Does
Um,
detect magic actually give you advantage on Arcana?
no, but I can see any magic on an object.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I wonder why that isn't a thing. Like if you have detect magic going, all you have advantage on all Arcana checks. Like, doesn't that just make sense?
yeah, that would make sense. I think it would. That would make sense. To be fair, that was a 17.
All right. As you can't determine physically how to interact with this cube, but upon channeling energy within yourself, as you open your eyes, it's almost like you see a thread, like the thread from Demon Slayer, where you see lines on the cube that seem ethereal, that almost map a way to arrange the cube in the so correct way that this magic seems to be leading you in.
I follow the threads, rotating with the ethereal patterns I see.
As you kind of are working almost in a trance, and Vidania is kind of eagerly like watching you with like a piece of paper and a writing utensil. As you connect the last face with the proper color, suddenly a flash of bright light envelops the room as both of you kind of or have to force to look away. And the cube starts to sort of liquefy almost as it starts spinning with various colors very fast, and sort of light streaks off of it as it spins around. And finally, as it stops spinning, it fully liquidates and kind of falls and starts to like not not drip like droplets, but drip staying connected over your hand. Then suddenly, the liquid comes back up from dripping and starts to form into a shape. And then it going from one shape and then all of a sudden twisting into a bluish gemstone. And then the gemstone fades and it falls into liquid again, as the liquid then props up into the shape of a small creature with a big tail.
And I assume it's just resting on my hand. And
Vidania's just kind of like sitting there with her eyes wide as, oh my gosh.
Vitallium's going to like kind of like tentatively like reach out a finger and just slowly like bring it towards this.
As your finger kind of goes towards the creature, seems almost statue like. But suddenly, it reacts to your finger as it kind of jumps on it and starts to walk and crawl up your arm to your shoulder. Vitallium, what in the world is that?
I don't know. I simply solved the puzzle and then the light started. I have no idea.
Most intriguing. It appears to have taken a liking to you. I must take notes. She kind of whips out her notebook again and is kind of like looking at Morph and kind of walking around and begins muttering. It appears to have entered a metamorphic like state and then remains moving and unmoving at the same time.
It's flexible. It's like Organa, but the rigid gemstone underlying structure seems to have these different properties.
Yes, it doesn't appear to be made of flesh like the Organa are, but it does seem fluid and flowing. This is most odd.
Is it doing anything right now?
It's kind of as it's kind of on your shoulder, it's kind of trying to climb up your head, but it's a little bit too steep for it, and it can't find a footing in your the side of like what your skin is, and it keeps kind of like sliding down a little bit, and eventually it just gives up.
My Talium goes, and he kind of grabs it and places it like on top of its head where it was wanting to go.
As you kind of pick it up and it drops down, it immediately starts just like scratching at your head.
Vidonia, I think it's trying to attack me.
My word, is this name? Is this thing? I have no idea what it is. It can't be an Organa, but it can't be a Warforged. We must name this subject. Do you have any ideas, Vitallium?
I'm most curious about its changing form. The fact that I was able to go from a cube to this liquid gemstone to this bestial form. Let's maybe come up with a better name at a later time, but for now, let's call it Orf.
Perfect. She kind of writes the name Morph in big letters as if the title of the note page. Well, as my makeshift apprentice, why don't you hold on to it for a few days, as it seems to have taken a liking to you?
Of course. And Vitali's gonna try to like grab it so he can like hold it. And he's gonna like try to grab it with both arms.
And as you kind of take your hands and bring it in front of you, suddenly it liquefies again and turns into a little blue cube.
Is the blue like cerulean?
Yes.
Yep. Intriguing. Vidonia, look. The cube that had been multicolored is now completely cerulean. The same color as it had liquefied into, and the same color as the bestial form.
I don't even know what to say.
At
Well,
least
let
watching
me
this will be more convenient than what it had previously been. I'll take
let
it
me
with
know
me.
if it takes
For
any
review.
different actions or changes while you have it, and then bring it back to me in a few days or a few days or weeks. I must conduct studies on it.
Of course. I as well. I'm so so curious about this object. What did we find?
No idea, but something that could be great.
Well, it is late, Vidonia. I should be going. But I'll be back in a few days, and I'll let you know what I discover.
Of course, as Vidania kind of leads you out to the entrance of the home that they have, as Taste kind of comes to the doorway and joins her and puts his hand over her shoulder as they both kind of wave you out as they say goodbye. And as your home unit's quite a far walk away from the shopping district where you are in Tadhana, um, would you like to do anything in particular on your way home, or just walk home?
How late is it at night?
It's pretty late.
All
And
right.
hold on,
Well,
I
since
can still hear you, but I have to.
I should go.
What would you like to do? Or if anything. So what time would you like this to be over and done?
If we could uh get a stopping point at 6:45, that'd be
Okay.
pretty pog. Um, well,
You don't have to do anything. You can just walk home.
Vitallium is going to go to the zoo. It's time to make a visit.
Alrighty. The zoo is in the opposite direction of your home. But as you make your way there, you eventually find yourself at the entrance where the doors are closed. However, you do know of a little secret entrance as you kind of walk around the right side of the zoo exhibit, where there is a mini hole that presumably is a vent for air of sorts. You quietly detach it, crawl in, and you now find yourself within the exhibit. And there's not a soul inside. Warforged soul inside.
Um, okay. Vitallium is going to go. Uh, he's going to go up to the tree and, or no, he's going to walk up to the door. I assume everyone is inside.
Asleep. Yeah, they would be asleep to your knowledge, but they
Um,
would be inside as well.
I'm going to do the secret knock at the door and to see if there is a response.
Let me roll something real quick. As you knock the secret knock that Tara and you have come up with, and while playing, you don't hear anything. No response from the inside.
Um. Okay. And can I do like a perception check to see if like I can like tell that they're sleeping inside?
Yeah, why don't you roll perception and see as you kind of walk around and peer through some of the windows that are on the sides.
And Vitallium is uh Vitallium is going to kind of look around, and then he's gonna practice something he's been trying to do for a while now. It's he kind of focuses his mind and puts his hand over his core, and he sees like the magic that makes up his core and the different connections that he makes, and he intentionally tries to infuse one of the connections with more power than it normally has, as he's going to strengthen uh his sensory not like organs, but his sensory like devices, as he's going to cast guidance on himself.
The guidance spam starts now.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. You've been around this place quite a few years over your childhood, and even though you didn't meet Tara until you were more so of a teenage adult years, you still know the lay of the land. And as you find one window that sort of peers into the bedroom of the abode, you see Tara and Diponte in the room, in their beds, fast asleep, and nothing out of the ordinary. They're both there, and Tara seems peaceful, holding the teddy bear that you helped make her um, a few months back.
Okay.
That's all you
Uh,
see.
I assume for most of my visits, I would tell them beforehand that I'm going to arrive, where this is more of an unannounced visit.
Yeah.
All right. Vitaly was just checking to see if perhaps they were up. He's not going to disturb them, as uh, he's going to go back out through the secret entrance and head home.
Okay. As you head past the shopping district where Tace's home is, and you walk past near your home, you see to your right the Iron Forge training grounds where you've spent much of your time at. The farm quadrant is also nearby, where most of the wood forged spend um, all hours of the day growing and maintaining Forcana. But you've never been inside. And well, you approach the familiar home unit that you've grown up in. It's dark and empty at this hour, as Prost is probably in the recharge room getting ready for the next day. Uh, to kind of find your way into the home. Uh, would you like to do anything else before the night ends?
Uh, Prost isn't waiting for me, is he?
No, he's recharging as for towards Wave sleeping.
All right. I will just outside the house on porch, or maybe I'll go inside the house, uh, but in a different room. I just want to look at the cube one more time. Can I okay, beginning my long rest, can I use my background ability to just like kind of start thinking about what this cube is and like what
Hmm.
it has to offer,
Why don't you
and
roll
just
d20 for me?
start to try to figure out what properties it has, where it came from. 14.
As you begin to wind down and your mental processes begin to still, and you start pondering what this cube morph could be, it dawns on you that this might not just be a simple game. This might be important. You don't know the significance of it, but it defies logic in a way that is concerning. It doesn't seem dangerous to you, perhaps, but you worry about what this cube could mean. And that's kind of what you come to.
Such intense magic for a children's toy. Can I determine how old this is?
Why don't you roll a history check?
Oh yeah, natural one, baby.
No, you have absolutely no clue. It could have been made a few days ago.
Maybe technology is just getting better. Or maybe we have more mages than we had before. I know our numbers are increasing. I haven't delved into our recent magical advances. Maybe they've advanced when I haven't been paying attention. And Vitallium is going to put the cube away and go to bed.
All right. As the night falls and the morning rises and the light fills the cavern, you are woken up by Prost. Vitallium, you did not return at a timely hour last night. I expect you were at the training grounds as I requested.
Frost, it's too early, please. Can I get another few hours?
Where were you? Were you training?
Uh, I was improving my skills.
Why don't you roll deception?
5.
Okay. He kind of looks at you and he says, Vitallium, you must stop visiting Tace. You will surely sully their honor as a bronze forged by constantly hanging around them as an iron. You must train every day. It is our purpose as iron forged. Deviate from that too much, and you will be returned to the earth to supply those that will comply.
But Prost, we've gone over this before. I've learned so much studying with Taste, and they want me to be there. There's nothing else that I want to do than to learn and to study under their gentle hand. What they've taught me has completely changed my way of view on Tadhana, on training, on life. It has completely revolutionized my life.
Vitallium, stop filling your head with these fantasies of ideas of learning. Your job is to fight and to be guard for the Warforged community. That is what us Irons do. Be proud of it. In fact, right now, you're coming with me.
No.
Off to the training grounds.
Can we do this tomorrow?
No. He kind of picks you up and picks you up by the shoulder and shoves you out the door.
It's my Saturday.
Prost will lead you to the training grounds that you pass every day and head into that you're very familiar with. The
Uh-huh.
training grounds, you enter this door that kind of opens into a massive cavern, very dome-like, like stadium-like, where hundreds of iron forged are seen kind of sprown around the cavern, training in the ways of the martial arts, bows, swords, and various axes. The sounds of metal on metal vibrate the huge chamber. As you would know, many, if not all, of the iron forged aren't very skilled or skilled at all in the ways of magic. So the only way to sort of cope with that is to practice the martial ways of using weapons. Um, you've always found this to be not your way of fighting, as you've always preferred to fight with your fists. You found that sometimes you can make them stronger than um, others. As Pras kind of leads you into the room, he says, "I'm sorry, but you will be fighting Razak today. Razak. Razak.
Oh,
Razak. Razak is an iron forged that was born the same ritual year you were. Just like you, he was very adept at hand to hand combat and preferred fighting with his fists. However, unlike you, he was born with a scary sense of undying loyalty and conformity to the Warforged Emperor. You have often clashed over very trivial matters, and he is quick to report any infraction that he notices. His face is also considered abnormal in the Forged community. He was one of the only Warforged in recent memory to be born without eyes. Instead, there are just deep black holes, vacant of the light that most Warforged have. Um, his blindness has given him the upper hand against you and others many times, as his other senses are very magnified. Recently, he has caught the attention of leadership over the past year or so for his skills and success within the Forged community. You have seen him starting to hang around the crowd of silvers, which is nearly unheard of in your society. So many envy him, but you envy him in a hatred sort of way. You despise him for breaking the mold, but also helping perpetuate the caste system that you hate as well. So even though he has broken out of the caste system himself, he's still been known to look down on irons and woods as if the caste system was still in place and he didn't apply to it. At this point, you're still with Prost, and Razak isn't in view yet.
uh, Prost. I believe I want to duel with uh, Delulu over there. The iron one over here. He's quite skilled. Um, I haven't dueled with him in some time.
As you see Delulu kind of fighting off in the distance with a sword and shield, Prost looks down at you and says, "No, Vitallium, you need to be taught a lesson. And I thought no better than Razak himself. I know you've clashed before, but scary determination."
Do we have to do this now in front of everyone, please?
"I'm sorry, yes." As a few minutes pass, as Prost kind of leaves your view, and a few minutes later, next to him, Razak is walking adjacent to him. As you do see the appearance, the vacant black eyes, very hole-like. His appearance always sets you off in a very creepy fashion. As Prost walks up to you and says, "All right, Vitallium. This fight won't be to the death, I assure you. But both of you are to try as hard as you possibly can to knock the other unconscious. This will be a one-on-one duel. Any questions?"
Are we using short swords? Are we fisticuffing to death?
So this is going to be one-on-one combat. You can use your character sheet just as it is. So you don't have to use a weapon. You can just use your fists or primal savagery like you can. I guess just narrate it like your fists are just strong.
Mm-hmm.
um, so why don't you here open up? You're on Foundry, right?
Yeah.
All right. We are on Foundry. Toggle combat. Why don't you roll for initiative?
It's paused right now too. I can't see it.
There we go. Can you see it now?
19, Razak. There's no way you beat me. No way.
Alrighty. So you can use all the combat tools you have to you. If you try to use something that's third level, have no fear. Razak is third level.
Oh shit! So I actually need to be using my shit.
Yes. Going to 0 hit points canonically is just 1, so there's no death.
Okay.
So why don't you decide what you want to do?
Oh fuck. Okay. All right. We're gonna start out. Uh. With my free action, I want to go. Razak. How about a draw?
He kind of looks at you with his stone cold killer attitude and doesn't respond.
That's what I thought. And Vitallium is going to go with a quick 1-2.
All right.
Or a quick 1 because he only gets 1 punch. And I'm going to make an unarmed strike. This will be a 3.
A 3. A 3 does not hit.
Yeah, and by the way, this is me just punching. By the way, I'm not using primal savagery yet.
Yeah. So yes, the 3 does not hit. As you kind of swing at him, he kind of dodges out of the way, and you're still always perplexed how he's able to dodge out of the way, as you know he's blind. As he's going to swing at you with his own kind of punch. Does a 14 hit?
A 14 does hit.
Oh, it does.
Sorry. No, sorry. 18. No.
Yeah, because so as you kind of punch and he dodges out of the way, he kind of gives another quick jab, and you kind of dodge out of the way. I forgot to start. So now it's round 2. What, did that scare you?
I didn't expect to hear the sounds when it came on. I thought that was you queuing up like boss music, like from the ceiling crashes in 13,000. Okay, no. Oh yeah, I thought that was you playing like a sound effect of this big event happening. Okay, no. Okay, I'm gonna strike him again. All right. This time's a 14.
A 14 hits, actually.
Okay, that does 1 damage.
Well, let's go.
Let's go, Vitallium.
Oh, I accidentally deleted Razak deletes from existence.
Winner.
I'll just do it from here. Alrighty. It is now Razak's turn. And he's going to yes. All right. So as action, he's going to punch you again.
Okay.
Does an 18 hit?
18 hits, just barely.
Where's this thing go? Oh, there it is. 4 bludgeoning damage as he kind of pop kind of hits you as he's gonna use his bonus action to use a flurry of blows, and he's gonna attack you with kind of both his hands at the same time. Does a 14 hit?
14 misses.
And does a 12 hit?
A 12 misses.
So as he kind of pops you and hits you kind of in the face, you take it, but you kind of steady yourself again and you dodge the other 2.
And does he say anything with these blows, or is he just silent the entire
Just
time?
cold silence right now.
Okay.
It is your turn, Vitallium.
Vitallium is and do another punch. Yeah, that's going to be a 8 to hit.
An 8 does not hit. As you guys are trading and dodging blows, you throw another one out and it misses. And he's gonna go for the punch again. 6 misses as you kind of dodge out of the way. It is now your turn.
Okay. Yeah, Vitallium just gonna punch again. Hey, Alex, is it what module is this? For your turn.
What module is this?
Yeah, what module is your turn?
Why do you want me to turn down the audio?
Yeah, it just needs to be turned down a little bit.
Yeah, I need to figure
if
that
you're gonna
out too.
stream it, it's gonna be a little bit well, because the only issue is that the fact that it's only 2 people, so it's like
Yeah. Here, for the purpose of this, I'll find it. I'll just won't progress the round tracker because I guess it's relatively pointless.
Vitallium is going to attack again with his unarmed strike. 17.
17 hits. Roll damage.
No, it's just 1 damage.
Oh boy, kind of hitting hard, aren't you?
Like a wet noodle.
And he's gonna try to trade a punch with you again. 11 misses. You guys are kind of a dance of blows as you seem almost evenly matched.
Okay, I'm gonna go for another punch. 3.
A 3 misses. The grueling combat that ensues as Prost kind of stands at the edge and says, "Come on, you two. Land a blow already." As Razak's kind of look at him and kind of face you and is going to throw another kind of uppercut like punch. And it's a natural 1. So as he kind of throws an uppercut punch, you kind of jump back and he kind of misses you completely.
Then as I step back, I'm going to kind of see my opening of like having that momentum, and I'm going to do like this huge punch and follow through. And I'm going to like, as like I'm doing it, I'm going to try to quickly do that skill I've been learning and kind of like reorganizing those connections I feel within my core, and I'm gonna try to increase what I would kind of know the area to be like my hand, and so this is going to be my primal savagery. 19 to hit.
A 19 hits. Roll for goddamn damage.
5. As my hand kind of goes there, Vitallium is like just, his eyes like kind of close, and he's just this intense concentrating, trying to increase that connection. And it's too fast for him to notice, but you might see that his hand gets a little bit bigger as it goes and connects, and by the end, it's returned to its normal size.
As you kind of hit Razak, you kind of is startled by the blow as you kind of you can't tell from his eyes exactly what he's feeling, but you kind of hear like a little release of air as a like he wasn't ready for you to hit him just that hard. And you kind of hear like faintly like, is that all you got? As he's going to strike you with his fists. And let's see. Does a 16 does not hit, as he kind of strikes you, and you're ready for this one too.
I'm going to punch him again. This one's just an unarmed strike. Natural one.
As you kind of try to punch him, that last strike that you just kind of performed, kind of like oddly, if your next strike feels a little different. It feels a little weaker for some reason. You just can't tell why.
And Vitallium goes, in his brain, he just thinks like, increasing the connection. It's so difficult to do in a real fight. If I had time to prepare, I could do with more strikes.
So why don't you roll a strength check for me? A strength, and then also give me a Constitution saving throw.
Jesus Christ, okay. Oh, I should call these rolls as I do them. Okay, so this is strength. 16.
Okay.
Well, actually, saving throw, I do get a bonus. Actually, I don't. So 16 for strength, and then Constitution is this. 14.
All right, you beat Razak in both. As you are kind of fighting, you see Razak kind of start to tire, and you can tell he's kind of getting he's pushing himself. And why don't you get to roll an extra attack?
Okay.
So you get to have 2 hits in this one.
Okay. Okay, so Vitallium is going to roll to attack. And so what Vitallium is going to do is he's going to do like he's going to point over to the side and go, Razak, they need you. And as he looks, Vitallium is going to go for his 2 attacks.
His kind of out of breath self fell weary to your tricks.
Oh God, he doesn't have eyes. He casts his senses off in that direction, I guess.
Well, you can focus his attention.
Yeah, like,
like what's over there?
They're waving, but you can't see them. It's kind of awkward. That's 14 hits.
14 hits.
Actually, yeah, and so I'm gonna bop him once, and then I'm gonna go for like an uppercut. And this time I'm gonna try to coalesce my connection, and this time it's gonna succeed as I'm gonna attempt to strengthen my fist once more. That would be a 25 to hit.
A 25 hits. So both strikes hit. Wait, or did you change?
So 1 damage is for like the straight normal strike, but for the one that I've increased my fist power, it's gonna be a 12.
A 12.
I've rolled max damage on that one.
So, as you kind of land both these strikes, kind of you hear more breath escape Razak as he kind of spits on the ground, the akin to Warforged blood, the sort of blue little essence, and he kind of like gets up and charges you silently. Let's see.
Okay, so he's near death. Okay, cool.
Does damn 14 misses, and he's gonna use his bonus action to hit you 2 more times. Oh, does a natural 20 hit?
Yeah, yes, it does.
Let's see. Oh, it's loading. Why is it doing this? um, that is 7 points of damage, and he's
Yeah.
gonna hit you again. Doesn't an 18 hits,
Yep.
and that is. I wonder why it's taking so long to load. Because it hasn't taken this time before. Intriguing. Alright, it's not loading for some reason. I need to fix that. Debug. But let's just say you take 8 points total after those 3 attacks.
So he rolled a 1 damage on the last one? Because I already took
I'm
7
just gonna
from the
say
before.
it's 1 because it's not loading for some reason.
Well, here, what dice roll is it?
It's an unarmed strike
Oh, oh, that's just his strength
plus
modifier.
his strength modifier, which
Yes, whatever his
is
strength modifier is, that's
1.
literally damage.
So
So it's
2.
1 plus his strength.
Yeah, so 2.
Well, actually, if it's monk, it's plus his dex.
So 3. No, 2. So 3 damage. Yeah, 3 damage.
Okay, cool. All right. By the time I just want to get these punches, and then kind of like after like kind of like getting injured, Vitallium is going to uh feel something well up within him, kind of similar to like when he concentrates his connections, but it's going to be like overwhelming. Like it's an increase in everything at once, and it's threatening to explode. And Razak looks pretty close to like uh
Yeah, he looks pretty close to having to tap out.
uh uh Vitallium is going to uh so if Vitallium were to punch or to grab, would Razak try to like block or grab his fist in any sort of way?
Oh, why don't you try?
All right, I'm just trying to land a punch at him. I just need it to touch his body somehow. So I'm just trying to do like a normal punch, although my action's gonna be something different.
So why don't you roll to hit?
Uh, so it's going to be uh a 13 to hit.
A 13 to hit.
Well, because so like that's like my oh no sorry no 14 to hit because it's +2 for unarmed strike.
So 14 hits.
Okay. So how does he do it? Do I hit him? Does he grab my fist at all? This one would have been kind of coming slower because Vitallium isn't focused on the punch.
Let me roll a check for you. Let's see. What would be a reaction check? Sleight of hand? Let's do that. Why don't you roll a sleight of hand as well? And you'll roll against his.
Vitallium isn't worried about kind of dodging any sort of block or anything.
No, I'm macroing this to be speed.
Okay, so yeah,
So
I'll roll
beat
my
a
side.
14 to see whether or not he can block you, or kind of like
20.
a 20. So as he kind of, his arm, it always fascinates you how he can kind of track you even though he's blind, but he's just slow enough to where his arm doesn't get up to stop you.
Can I make it so I actually like go into the fist? So like he
Um,
like I because I'm fighting for so long, I know that if I do something like this, he's gonna try to block it like that, and
okay,
then
yeah,
because
we
I
can
keep
say you do that.
strike with the other.
Um, you connect with your hands. He kind of stops you with his fist. Then.
Okay, and uh, it's there that he's going to feel that his hand suddenly gets burned. Although no one can see it because it's hidden, Vitalium releases that magical energy that he's kind of stored up within himself. And for a split second, his hand is going to grow red hot. And Razak is instantly going to take 2d8 fire damage from heat metal.
Okay.
Vitalium will
Why,
also take damage.
why don't you roll?
Wait,
Vitalim's
is
gonna
it?
take 2d8 as well.
Oh shit, that's 2d8. Fuck, I thought it was 2d6. Damn. Okay. Uh. Okay. If I. Okay, that's 9 fire damage. As
9 fire damage.
Vitalium just hits, and then he releases that energy, and then it's up to you.
Um, as your as the kind of the red hot energy connects, there's a brief moment where Razak doesn't respond, but suddenly he kind of jumps back and kind of like waves his hand and kind of falls over, and it kind of says, "What have you done?
What do you mean?
This is cheating." As he kind of stands up and kind of spits on the ground again. It's not fair.
Cheating how? Is punching unfair now? You gonna go
Kind of
report that to the Silvers?
Razak looks at Prost and says, "I think he used magic." Prost kind of goes, "Magic for an iron forged? You lost
Come on,
fair
Rod.
and square."
That's ridiculous.
Razak kind of moves his head towards you and looks back at Prost and kind of and gives like a grunt and just starts walking away.
You're just mad because you're beat by the worst in the platoon.
No response as he kind of walks away. Prost
My
at this
talent
moment
angrily
comes over
looks
to
at
you.
Frost. Is that good? Did I prove myself here today?
Very well indeed, Vitallium. I thought for sure you would have lost. He's considered one of the best in the unit. A bit perplexing, might I ask, but you don't know how to use magic, so of course. Maybe it was a fluke on his part, but well done.
His only limitations is he doesn't know how to think outside the box. I beat him today because I outthought him. I
Of
know his
course.
moves.
Well, it was a good day. Thanks for coming. Did me proud.
Vitallium
And
gives that reluctant, but he doesn't give him as much attitude as he normally does.
um, after the fight, you guys spent a few more hours there training, and you decide to head home. About a week passes, where you kind of are just doing your normally daily activities and trying to get Morph to come out, but oddly, Morph has not returned to its squirrel-like state since the night. Um, so maybe 4 or 5 days after the fight, the day was like any other, and you had settled down to recharge for the night before Prost. The faint sunlight was receding, shrouding the city of Tedhana in familiar darkness, with the ever so small light of the moon shining in. You are about to head into sort of a deeper recharge state, as an abrupt, heavy knocking on the door of the home unit awakens you. You can hear Prost answer the door far away. At this hour. Oh, sorry, sir. What is it you require of me? Kind of you hear mumbling. What? What crime has he been accused of? That's preposterous. He's nothing but a lowly soldier capable of not stealing any sort of artifact. What would you like to do? They're far enough away to where you could leave the room that you're in unnoticed if you roll well enough.
Vitallium. Yeah, but Vitalium uh, probably doesn't have a good reason to want to run away at this point, and so he's going to uh, just kind of start thinking like artifact. Do they think we stole an artifact? Did Pross steal something?
And at this time, you hear Prost in the background say, "Are you sure it's him? He'll surely be recycled if you're correct about this."
For a second. And Vitalum kind of like looks down at the spear that he had placed in his hand and just was kind of like unconsciously kind of like just holding. He goes, "Oh, ah, this is surely a mistake. Is there can I kind of get out of like a back door like a window?"
There is, since this is one of your basically your childhood home, you do know that there is an exit um, toward near the back of the house that is more so a window. Would you like to make a run for it?
Uh, so Vitalium knowing the soldiers and like the guards of the area, would Vitalium know if he said like, "Hey, like Vidania gave me this artifact"? Would they likely let him like go to their place right now, or is that like a
From your
request that he?
experience, your limited experience with the crime unit of Tedhana, you don't know of many Warforged who have been accused of a crime to come back.
Oh, Vitalium is going to go. Yeah, Vitalium is going to try to get the fuck out of Dodge as
All
he's
right.
going to go like, I have to go find Vidania. I don't know
Why
what's
don't you
happened.
Why don't you roll for stealth and acrobatics, both?
Uh, Vitalium is going to and try to the Vitalium is going to uh he's going to have this like intense fear just overwhelm him, and like he's going to like start like almost like vibrating like in like this like fear, like it's probably the most intense fear he's felt in his entire life. And suddenly there's going to be this wave similar to like what happened to the arena, but this one is more serene. And after like noticing like feeling it kind of whelm over him, he noticed that it seemed to originate from this cube, and he's going to try to make his escape. But what has happened now is that Vitalium has subconsciously casted enhance ability for dexterity,
Oh, okay.
and so he gets to make all dexterity checks with advantage. So this is acrobatics. That'll be a 20,
Okay.
a natural, and then that will be a 14 for acrobatics.
Alrighty. Let's
Dodged a
see.
natural one there.
Oh, that says Kenneth. You don't want that. Okay. As you make it through the house very stealthily, you jump out the window with serene grace. No one has appeared to have noticed you. As you kind of hear distance in the background growing, "Fine, come in. I'm sure he has done nothing wrong." As it kind of fades out of view. Where would you like to run to?
I'm booking it to Vidania and Tace's place.
All
They
right.
they surely know what has occurred. There must have Vidania must have misplaced the ledgers or something, or something must
A-
have gone wrong.
After about 30 to 40 minutes of crossing the town, you find yourself out of breath but you finally approach the you finally approach the uh, the house with the familiar rose on top of it. But as you knock on the door, no response comes from within inside, and you find the door to be adjacent, open. As you quickly lean in,
This
no one appears to be inside.
Vidonia always closes the door. She's insistent upon it. She and Taste would never let the AC go out. Uh, Vitallium is going to kind of get on guard, start to make like a person. He's going to advance into this room, and he's going to try to like see like if there's anything inside or like what's happening here.
Why don't you make a perception check?
Uh, yeah. That'll be an 8.
An 8.
Yeah.
From what you can, the only thing that you can tell is that there was a little bit of a struggle. But that's all that you can discern from the inside.
There's no one currently inside of the place.
No, there's no one.
Okay. Something's wrong. Okay. By the time he goes, okay. This is wrong. There's a fight. There's a device that Vidonia had been working on that can record messages. Can Vitallium roll like an investigation check to see if like some kind of message has been left or like on paper or something?
Sure. Roll an investigation.
Another 2. That's a 6.
In your frantic state, as you stumble through her research room, you can't find the device that she's spoken to you about.
This is what's happening. What's happening? If Vitallium spends enough time here, can he make another roll?
You can stay here if you want.
Vitallium is going to go in a bit of like a frenzy. Is this for this house? Would I also know about a back exit?
No, there's from your time here. There's no back exit of this from this house.
Give me one second, let me think. Vitallium starts to think and go. So unusual. They've falsely accused me of stealing this artifact. Tace and Vidonia are nowhere to be seen. I need to figure out what's happened. Vitallium wants to run to the zoo. All right.
Okay.
And Vitallium is going to go into the secret entrance, and because no one checks inside the house, right? Like there's no like caretakers that would go inside.
To your knowledge.
So ideally, he could. Would Vitallium know? Like, could he like hang out in this house for a few days and no one would know he's there?
So actually, as you make your way to the exhibit, you see 3 iron warforged at the outside watching the exhibit area. So
At this time, Vitallium get the cloak that he's currently using on the journey and kind of like hood up?
yeah, you can put the hood up, but you might have to make a few rolls if you want to see if they notice you.
There's no other entrance.
There's so on the way to the zoo exhibit, in between the zoo exhibit and Tace and Vidania's house, there is a side tunnel that leads to the barrier. One of the many entrances and exits from some of the tunnels that lead out of Tadhana, where mining crews go, but it's also where the barrier resides.
I feel like Vitallium doesn't have enough motivation to leave yet. He's so perplexed. He doesn't know what's happening. And he. Vitallium's want to. Is there any way? For, like, is like. Vitallium. Is there like a place like is like the police station nearby at all where like Vitallium can kind of like get like a view of like maybe like if Vidania and Taste were being detained.
You why don't you roll for history? Where'd he go?
An 11.
11. Um, you've never really been to the part of town where law enforcement ever really takes place, so you wouldn't really know where to go.
Yeah, Vitallium is going to try to he's going to try to get his way into the zoo because he he wants to know what happened to well mm, can Vitallium do a quick like judgment call? Does he think he can get by these guards?
It would be hard, but you could do it if you rolled high enough.
Okay, Vitallium's going to make a decision. Okay. Vitallium's going to go. I see. It's too hard to get into the zoo. I can't hide out there. Maybe I can hide out near the edge of the barrier. No one really goes out there. I can probably spend a few days there and then make my way back into town to see if there's any news. Vitallium's going to go through the tunnel and go to the barrier.
All right, so as you make your way towards the tunnel and start walking through it, you kind of hear from the back, "Stop." As you kind of glance back, you see a party of 4 iron forged and 2 silver. But one of the iron is Razak. And they are about 200 feet behind you as you kind of are running down this tunnel. I want you to roll what would be a speed check?
Probably just straight dexterity, right?
Yeah, why don't you roll straight
I guess
dex?
it can maybe be like
Acrobatics.
acrobatics.
Yeah, okay,
or
roll on acrobatics. Let's see.
Okay. Well, actually, fuck. If it's a straight up sprint, that's probably athletics.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yep. Athletics.
Can before this chase happens, can Vitallium kind of like just go like, "Halt! Why is this happening? Why am I being falsely accused? Did you take Vidania and Tace?"
As they're kind of approaching you, they're kind of running at you.
Can I step back away and kind of keep this distance between them and say, "Hey, stop!"
Yeah. As you're kind of like walking, saying like stop, and they're running, Razak kind of shouts out, "They've been taken into custody. I'd be well advised for you to do the same. Comply."
For what? For what reason?
"For crimes against the Warforged community."
Name a single crime they've done. They're the pinnacle of Warforged.
"That's not for me to say. You will be tried." it's
And for what
all
crime have I committed?
as you yell that out, silence as they're sort of still like coming at you, kind of full speed.
Uh, Vitallium is going to just go, this is my fault. It was his power. So that thing that I did during the Razak fight, maybe that was it. He must have reported me for having abilities. And everyone knew that I hung out with Tace and Vidania. They're taking the fall with me. And Vitallium is going to uh start laughing as for the second time uh because like he's sort of like in this like super like overwhelmed zone where he still has that glimpse of power that he used before, and he's going to change his concentration from enhanceability from dexterity to strength, as he's going to stand there for a second and he's going to go, well, you finally figured me out. I was controlling Tace and Vidania to teach me their ways. I fooled them for years to learn their secrets, and now I've stolen the artifact. But tonight, I make my escape, and he's going to turn around and run.
All right.
Um,
As you guys, as you kind of run through the tunnel, it takes a decent long time. You're kind of running at a sprint for fear for your life. But after about 20, 30 minutes of nearly full sprint running, you are chugging.
hey,
Um,
Alex,
yeah,
I rolled a 5.
that's okay. um, they appear to be catching up to you very quickly. As you approach the edge of the tunnel, there's you've never been this far actually. There's all of a sudden the tunnel ends, and there's a shimmering glow, kind of um, gating the rest of the tunnel that you presume to be the barrier. You've never seen it before, but it's exquisite. It's got this consistency of jello almost, and it's particles and shimmering different colors in it. And you kind of can't help but find yourself perplexed. And yeah, what?
Uh, can I have one action before I attempt to pass this barrier or something?
Oh yeah. But as you approach, Razak has kind of outrun the others as he kind of approaches you, and he's about 30 feet from you, and he yells, "Surrender, Vitallium. I will ensure your recycling is painless."
Razak, I'm not going to be recycled today. No. Today I make my escape. Today I see the outside world for the first time, and I know exactly how I'm going to do it. And Vitallium is going to hold out the cube, and he's going to go and close his eyes and focus on the connections. And he's just going to kind of like silently voice his command, and he's going to be, you who are in this cube, you've lent me these abilities to change my form, to increase my abilities. You who have been able to change your form, help me change into something I'm not. And Vitallium is going to attempt to wild shape into a moorbounder.
All right. Why don't you roll an Arcana check?
$17.
All right. So as you kind of hold up this cube known as Morph, as Razak kind of starts to run at you, and everything kind of slows down a bit, and you feel a pulsate in your body like a heartbeat as You feel your form start to change into something unfamiliar. From an outside appearance, it's not a moorbounder, but your body shimmers in a way that is different than what you've normally looked like. And as this thump occurs, you feel you feel a speed and strength from which you've never felt before. Do you want to jump in?
And as Vitallium is transforming, he's gonna shout out to Razak. I've found the one beast that can get past the barrier. Farewell, Razak. I'll never see you again. As he uh, feels like he has these powerful hind legs, and he's going to jump through the barrier with a 40-foot leap.
And as if in slow motion, Razak kind of jumps to try to catch your leg as you jump, as you kind of lift off the ground, but it barely misses as you kind of fade through the barrier. And as you jump through, your body pulsates with the worst pain you have ever felt in your entire life. It's almost as if your atoms are being ripped and pulled apart violently as your vision goes black, and you can feel your life force start to slip away. But suddenly, you feel something envelop your body like a warm blanket of sorts. As your vision comes to, all you see is the blue light that many Warforged have their appearance as their light. A loud bang reverberates your ears as you feel your bodies was like it was being pushed through mud. Now suddenly moves freely as you plump to the ground as your eyes close and you lose consciousness. You feel the warmth as you come to. You feel warmth unlike any you've ever felt before. It hugs you in its glow, and as your eyes open, the brightness overwhelms you. Colors assault your face, greens, blues, browns, everywhere. It is at this moment you realize this is the outside world. And that's where we'll end Vitallium's adventure.
Vitallium just stands up and he just shouts, I did it! Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, the one shot was a lot of fun.
Yes. I spent a lot of time on it. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Did I do everything I needed to do?
You did, and some extra. The beauty of D&D. Thank you, Twitch and YouTube, for tuning in. Troy has to get going, but it was a pleasure. And we will see you sometime next week for the main campaign.
This was Vitallium's origin story. We'll see you next time.